Hi, this is Marnie Pearson and Sue Painter back with the online business reality show, Marnie and Sue's Peep Show, where we pull back the curtain on our online businesses and give you kind of a peek behind the scenes. Today, Sue's coming from Florida in her new house and out by the pool, out by the ocean, not the pool, the ocean. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a combination of things. So you want to start with one of your subjects first?
Let's see. Sure. We have had this conversation, Marnie, a couple of times before about helping people understand how it is they need to talk about what it is that they do. And this question came up again for me this morning when I was in a mastermind group helping someone who wants to switch her work from working with individual solopreneurs to doing that same work in a corporate setting. And there's kind of a trend right now of people saying, well, I'm tired of working, with other business owners. It's too hard. I know that there's a lot of money in the corporate world for training, so I want to go work in the corporate world. But this particular person has a specific type of way of identifying and classifying your energy and your kind of your spirit that would be very strange and probably almost unheard of in a corporate setting. And while she has solopreneurs who enjoy that and enjoy working through that with her and understanding how they hold themselves and how they hold their power out into the world, to try to take that particular way of looking at things into the corporate world might be a stretch. So we were talking about how might she do that, and I really was thinking about that for a while, and all of a sudden it dawned on me that her work into a different place, and that place is not a place that would necessarily be welcoming to what it is that you do, then you need to step back and you need to look at, in the broader sense, what is it that you're trying to offer, and how would the corporation or the entity that you're proposing it to take it? What would they get out of it that would make them interested in something that's new and different and that they haven't heard of before? So we ended up scripting out a way of talking about what she does, in which she identifies that she has one way, not the way, but one way, a typology of how women can see themselves and how they act in the world, how they communicate, how they hold their power within themselves. And she can use this particular typology that she is trained in to help women see that. So it becomes not really what entity or sign or spirit you are, but really how it is that you manifest what you do in the world, how it is you communicate, how it is you stay in relationship to others, how it is that you own your power in a company where you're going out and meeting clients and, prospecting for them. So being able to step back and see her way of doing things is one way of many that she can bring to the table. That's going to be more attractive to a corporation than, well, this is what I do, and I think your corporation should think it's a good thing. So anyway, it was just an interesting discussion because it made me think about, how do we all talk about what we do in the world, and how do we do that so that we're speaking a language that is understandable to the prospect or to the company we want to do it with, not so that it's our language, but so that it's their language. So that's all.
Yeah, that makes me think of something I teach my people when they're creating their information products, is that a lot of times we get so enamored with our own method and what it is. It's sort of like a plumber who's enamored with his wrench.
Yeah.
And, he's all excited about that wrench. And if he advertised the wrench, nobody would care, But if he advertises that he can fix your leaky faucet in 30 minutes or less today,
right,
and you're going to hire him. But if he just went on and on about his wrench,
right,
you wouldn't care. And sometimes we get so enamored with all the way we do it, we need to focus on the bottom line benefit that we're bringing and communicating that to the group or entity or person in the language they would understand. What benefits are they going to get? And then they don't really care how you do it once you got there, so much.
And you can use a story to do that very effectively too, because in this case, this person, just like your plumber, could talk about, well, I want to tell you a story about a woman I worked with, and when I used my particular typology to teach her how she was relating and how she was moving in the world, she really became much more of a thoughtful and mindful leader and was able to present what it was that her company offered in a much more compelling way. So if you can tell a story, like the plumber can say, well, I can get your leaky faucet fixed in 30 minutes or your leaking toilet fixed in 30 minutes. And he doesn't even have to mention the method by which he does it. And I think we all get caught in that because we spend a lot of time training in whatever method it is that we know. And so we think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? But to somebody else, it's not that, because they're not enamored of it and in love with it the way that we are. We have to speak their language, not our language.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, you were going to talk about your Ask Marnie site. And so that might be a question that would come up. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I decided to create a site where anybody can ask me a question. And then I'm trying to answer a question a day if I can, not every single day, probably 5 days a week. And it's anything around online business, marketing, mindset. And this week I'm answering the question, how do you know which information product, well, I'll take that back. Is there an information product in me is the question. So a lot of people, they want to expand out their product offerings, or, like you do a lot of consulting, but what if you wanted to expand out into some more product offerings or programs or trainings? Is there something inside of you that you could do that with? So I created a little video series this week that answers that question. And just they're little 1-minute videos. And so each day I'm going to post one of those. And the first one's up today at askmarnie.info. But I don't know. I think a lot of people don't think they've got that they could do that, but they really can. There's a lot of people have information or knowledge or skills that could be turned into products that they could be selling as either trainings or home study courses or done with you trainings or whatever, and they're just not seeing it in themselves.
Yeah, I pretty much think everybody has one good information product in them. They don't think they do. You're right, but they do. And I see that sometimes when I work with folks who are at or near retirement and they have a lifetime with a company maybe. They're so expert about what they do and they just fold their tent and go home, and really the world needs their expertise. So I agree with you. I mean, I can get an information product out of just about anybody if I question them the correct way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And one thing I meant, this is totally off the topic, but I meant to put this on today's list and I forgot. I did a video today, and you guys can go on Facebook and you can add your story to it. Today is International Moment of Laughter Day. And so I did a little video about what's the funniest story that ever happened to you in your business. And maybe you didn't laugh about it at the time, but you laugh about it now, right? And so I was asking people to just share their stories, because to me, you should have fun in your business. And it's kind of a joyful thing. So if you haven't made somebody go out and laugh today, remember that today is International Have a Moment of Laughter Day, and go make somebody laugh, or go put your story. Look on my Facebook page or my Facebook profile and watch that real quickie video that I did. It's like a little animated video, and then it asks for your story. Do you have a funny story of something that happened in your business?
Yeah, you want me to give it to you here? Or you want me to? Yeah, I had something that came to my mind back in, I don't know, about a decade ago. I was writing a lot of romance novels, and my friend Marcia Lynn McClure and I used to do these meet and greets together, and we'd promote our books together. We both wrote these romance novels. And so we'd have all these fans come, and we're signing books and everything. And, Marcia could always figure out what to write on the inside of the book, and I would just, okay, whatever. So this one time I put in there, I was trying to say, get lost in the romance and the story, and I just wrote, get lost. And I couldn't think of what else to say, and so I just took the book and set it off the side and started another one over. And Marcia never let me live that down. She's like, yeah, get lost.
Oh God, that's hilarious. Oh, see, we all have things that happen in business, and sometimes they're funny at the time, and sometimes they're not funny until later. But if you can share that humor, people appreciate it, and it shows that you. I mean, I'm really serious about my business, and I know you're serious about yours too. But I want to have fun with it, and we can all use a little levity. So, now, what else were you going to talk about today?
What did we say?
I have to go look at my list.
I covered mine. I was got that product creation thing and my askmarnie.info. And yeah, I found some really cool plugins that can whip a site up fast.
Oh, what?
I'm thinking of helping people just get their sites up, because a lot of my people with the product creation, they don't even have sites, And
what new plugins have you discovered? I might use one. Who knows?
I put them on my Ask Marnie, so let me pull that up and I'll tell you, so I get the names right. Because I had somebody happen to ask me the question, what are your 5 favorite WordPress plugins? And so I answered it. One of them is called Page Builder by Site Origin.
I've heard of that, but I haven't used it. Yeah,
it makes it really easy to create columns and put things where you want them to go, and make each page can look different, and it's really slick. And then Black Studio Tiny MCE widget. It puts a visual editor in. You know how when you're trying to add something to, say, a sidebar widget, a text, you're putting text over there, maybe you want graphics or something. Normally, you have to use code. You have to know the code. And this, you can use this visual editor, put it over there, and it's like it pops up just like you're editing a page, in a WYSIWYG format. So you're not limited there. Another one called Social Media Widget. And that one is, it puts all your social media links at the bottom. It's really easy to set up. And then another one is Lightbox plus Colorbox. And what it does is, how when you click on a picture, you put a picture on there, and you click and it enlarges and it makes it big and it just goes off onto a page by itself normally in WordPress. This makes it come up in a nice little light box and stay on your page, and you can, And the other one is called Meta Slider. And that's what I'm using on my home page, and it lets you put pictures in, and you can have them be slidable, or like I'm just using one picture. But the nice thing about it is whatever device it's on, it expands or contracts to suit that device.
Which is great with the new Google thing about mobile responsive coming up here in a couple of days.
Right. Yeah. So it makes your site really mobile responsive with your photos that go in it.
That's very cool. And I just got to thinking that some people might not know that as of April the 21st, I believe it is, correct me if I'm wrong, Marnie, Google is really changing their algorithm. So if your website is not mobile responsive, it's not going to be getting indexed or any traffic at all. So you're going to have a mobile responsive site. And they're doing that because over 60% of the searches that are done on Google now are on a mobile phone, or a mobile device, I should say. So if you haven't tested to see how responsive your site is in a mobile way, you need to be doing that. And some sites are so old that their themes actually cannot be changed to a mobile. It can't be made mobile responsive. You're going to start all over again with a new theme. So anyway, if you don't know that, you should, because it's going to be over. Your site will virtually be unseen by Google if it's not mobile responsive. It's a pretty big deal. And
glad I redid all mine to be mobile responsive over the last year.
Yeah, there's a place you can go to test it out. You can go to Google and enter your website name in a special little area, and it'll analyze your site, and it'll say whether you pass or fail.
Oh.
And so need to be doing that if people who are watching, if they haven't done that before. So that's one thing to be. But now, see, about these widgets, I like plugins because I think they make things easy. But my web person is always cautioning me about having too many plugins on a site, because she said it starts making it, if you start getting error messages, typically it's because one of the plugins is kind of arguing with another one of the plugins and they don't work well together. I don't know, have you ever experienced that? She tries to limit me to 4 or 5, and I'm always wanting to put other ones on, and she's like, well, which one are you going to take off? And I'm like, well, none of them, because I like them all. So I use Pretty Link. I like Pretty Link a lot. And I like Tweetily, which automatically takes your blog posts and tweets them out on in a rotating manner onto Twitter, and just keeps running through your blog posts over and over and over again.
You gotta tell me the name of that one again, because I don't.
Tweetily.
Tweet. How do you spell it?
Like tweet and then ILY. Tweetily.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look at that. So it just randomly just mixes up your content and sticks it out.
Takes them in order, and it goes through. And then you can really start seeing which blog posts are popular, because like I have so many blog posts on my site that about once in a, I've got enough so that it takes about a month to run through all 600 or 700 of them. And every time there's this one particular blog post I wrote when Edith Flagg, Edith Flagg died, who was, you know, an icon in the fashion industry out in Hollywood. And she was the person who brought polyester to the United States for dresses to be made out of polyester. She found it in Britain and had the exclusive right to bring it to the United States, and was a multi-millionaire because of that. She was quite the entrepreneur. Anyway, I wrote about leaving a legacy in your business and the legacy that Edith Flagg left. And my gosh, every single time that one gets tweeted back out, I get more comments and more comments on that blog post. It's one of the most favorite blog, and who would have guessed? I would have thought nobody's probably going to notice this, but they did. So I'm waiting for her son, Josh Flagg, who is a realtor in LA and who is on this TV show, $1 Million Listing LA. I'm waiting for him to notice that blog post and leave me a comment. That would thrill me, because he was very close to his grandmother and very torn up when she passed away last year. So, at any rate,
maybe he'll follow you back.
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, I do see him on Facebook now and then. He's a young guy, you know, but he has her entrepreneurial spirit and her entrepreneurial bent. Although, of course, he got started with a silver spoon in his mouth, kind of, where she really was an immigrant, you know, and from Europe, and you know, kind of fled for her life, and you know, started with nothing basically in LA. So I admire her for what she was able to build. So I've been thinking a lot about immigrants and what they bring when they come to this country, because one of the guys who has mentored me for my business, who is a multi-millionaire many times over, is an immigrant who came here, you know, 60 years ago, totally by himself from Cuba. He was, I think he was 13 years old, and he came by himself, and he lived on the street and had a paper route and worked his way through high school and learned the language and became very, very internationally known in his technical field, and created a company, is considered one of the fathers of digital image processing, and created a company that he sold to Westinghouse for millions and millions and millions of dollars. And, you know, he did it through all his own hard work. And then I think about Frank, my physical therapist, who, as anybody who knows me knows, I think he's wonderful. It's because of him I walk again. And, you know, he is Dutch and immigrated here. And about, I guess 15 or 16 years ago now. And his wife is British, also immigrated here. And they've built up this series of clinics that are like no other clinic here, and they really do wonderful things with physical therapy. So I just admire people who start with nothing and who really, through their own tenacity, they just make it happen. They're kind of like the no excuses person that I really love to work with, because they're implementers. They see something that needs to be done and they go and fill that need. And I think that's a cool thing. So, yeah. So I'm just looking, if you see me looking over here, it's because, I don't know if I can turn the camera, but there's a big old lizard hanging on our screen. I'm sitting outside today, and there's a big lizard on the screen, and it keeps running up and down, and I'm like, I'm not afraid of lizards. If it was a snake, I'd be screaming my head off. But I'm thinking it's going to come through the screen and come running across my foot here any minute. But it's right now, it's staying on the other side. It's getting to be warm summer here, which we love. I'm enjoying it. So let's see, what else do we want to talk about business-wise? Oh, I know. I've been thinking a lot about how I can more hone my niche. And Marnie, you and I have had this conversation a couple of times as we've chatted, either live on the show or between ourselves on Facebook. You can't just say you're a business coach or you're a business consultant, because that's too broad now. And the industry has really changed in the decade that I've been in business. So I've been thinking about and working with, well, who are the people I really most like to work with, and who is my niche? And this lady who was working with me about that the other day, she has this formula that she uses that I think is kind of cool. So I'll share it with you. I've got to pull it up here because I wrote it down. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It's like a formula that you use, and I hope I don't lose Google Hangout by trying to open Word. Surely I won't. My computer, I know it's a Mac, but it's a slow Mac. Let's put it that way. Let me see if I can get it to come. Here it is. Okay, so she says one way to start defining a niche, whether it's your niche or someone else's niche, is the formula is blank, and that's who your target market is, will never get blank unless they blank. And I thought that was a really cool little tool to use. So for instance, you might, if your niche is women small business owners, you might say women small business owners who have a long-term goal in mind for their business will never build what they want unless they get known and stand out for what they do. And so when you flip that around, then it might be that your niche is women who really want to have a long-term goal for their business, and they have to get known and stand out for what they do. So maybe what your niche is helping people really get known and stand out for what they do in their business. Or you might say, plumbers who want to capture all the new homeowners in Manatee County will never do that unless they advertise widely in new neighborhoods in Manatee County. And so maybe your niche is helping plumbers really hit the new neighborhoods with blanket marketing so that they're always the one people call. So it's like a little formula. It's blank will never get blank unless they blank. What do you think about that, Marnie?
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Just a trick, and I don't know whether she created it or whether she maybe was working with her. I don't know, but I thought that was a cool little tool. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do think about that. How do we niche ourselves? What are we known for? I'm thinking about listening to Mike Koenig's out in California last fall, and he was like, the thing is, there's so many generalists now that you do have to become what he calls niche famous. You have to have a niche that you really become famous for, and you have to push your credibility and your visibility toward that niche. So, I think about that a lot for myself and for my clients, and, Marnie, you and I have had that conversation as well.
Yeah. What do you think yours is? Just curious.
Yeah, I've always said that it was women solopreneurs who really wanted to be very confident and focused in their marketing. But that to me now is kind of old school because there's so many people who can do that. And what I've realized in the many years that I've been in business, because this is my second business, I had a brick and mortar business before this, and then I worked in the corporate world. So I have all this expertise and all this experience kind of in life that helps me help people really be unshakable in their business and really be cognizant of and conscious of how do they want to point their business and really where do they want to go with it. Like start with the end in mind. If it's going to be a legacy business, then you've got to start with the end in mind, and then you've got to build visibility solely toward that thing that you really want to be known for. And I see a lot of people who they open a business and they know what they're running from because they're tired of working where they were working, or maybe they lost their job, or maybe they want to be a stay-at-home mom. So what they're running from is having to work full-time for somebody else. but they have to be clear about what they're running toward before it's really going to work for them. And I'm really good at helping people focus in and strategize about, what do you really want this to be? What do you want it to be in 5 years? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to just work for a couple of years and quit? Are you going to be doing this for 20 years? Like, let's really hone in on what is that business you want to build, and then we back up and kind of create the framework that gets you there. So I kind of flip the business model around. Instead of letting what you do take you somewhere, think about where it is you want to end up, and then figure out the model and the visibility and credibility that'll get you there. I mean, I always knew that I wanted to be well known for being a good strategist and for encouraging people that they can create what they have in their mind to create if they just will be committed and not fear-based, and, you know, really step out there, because that's who I like to work with, right? And I knew that in order to do that, I needed to go and really be known by all the top-level coaches in the industry and work with and for some of them, and really be known as a person who could play at that level. And so I consciously set out to do that 10 years ago, and took steps to get me in front of all those people one by one by one, and ended up working for a couple of them. So, you know, you have to be strategic in how you're thinking, where you want your business to go. Now, I see a lot of people who, they're not really mindful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you ever think about, like, how many years do you want this business? Is it something you want to sell? Do you want to do it forever? Are you only doing it for a couple of years? You know, do you really want it to support you, or can it just be a hobby? You know, all of those things. Don't you think? I know you think about those things, because you and I have talked about them before, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do
we have any questions today from the audience?
I was wondering if that's what that noise was, but let me double check.
Too, yeah.
Marnie? No, it may have been a Facebook question.
Oh, okay. Okay. We really wish people would join us and also ask questions, because that's what we're here for, is really to answer your questions. And
yeah,
we can talk about what's going on with us, but it's good also to be able to answer your questions. So we encourage you to do that. And if you can't make it live, you can always email a question ahead of time to us, or catch us on Facebook and leave us a message, and we'll answer it here.
Yeah. Well, we're about at our 30-minute mark anyway. So
and next week we're going to be meeting on Thursday, is it? I think I sent that. Yeah. Because I've got company. I think my last group of company for the year here in Florida is going to be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. So, and then the week after that, I'm going to go off to a conference. And then the week after that, we're going back to Nashville for a while.
It's not much cooler here. It's pretty hot.
I don't know. Every time I hear from folks in Nashville, they say it's been gray and rainy for days on end. And I'm not into that, so I don't know. I may have to pop back down here if it stays gray and rainy. But anyway, we do thank everyone for joining us, and it's always good to hear your comments. So we hope you'll leave comments and questions for us. And I always enjoy getting a chance to chat with Marnie.
Yeah, enjoy chatting with you today, Sue.
We will see you next week.
All right. Take care,
everyone.
Bye-bye.